On this week's show, Peloton provides an update on apparel size inclusivity, and NBA is live on Peloton.
Auto-Incline for the Tread Plus is finally here, and Peloton is trying to set a world record for live Thanksgiving classes, and much, much more.
Welcome to Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. Here are your hosts, Amanda Siegel and John Pruitt.
Welcome to episode 154 of Pelo Buddy TV, a show for the Peloton community by the Peloton community. I'm John Pruitt, while Amanda is off traveling this week. Filling in as Mr. Chris Lewis, the face, the man behind Pelo Buddy, and all the channels that are run. This
Good to see you, John.
Good to see you.
How's your week been?
It's been good. It's been unseasonably warm in Michigan, so it's been nice. But it's just all of a sudden now the cold is coming. So it was just a matter of time. But no, things are good. Good week on the Peloton platform. We canceled one subscription actually. Because we have two bikes, but my wife doesn't really ride all that much. She likes to do more strength. So we finally said to ourselves, why are we just paying, two subscriptions? So
sure,
we did like the activate one or the other, like Amanda had suggested she does between her places. But I think my wife's just going to ride my bike when she wants to.
Yeah, I mean, it is possible. You just have to jump through the hoops. But if you do it rarely enough, then
a deal. But I mean, it's probably just saves her a little bit of time just jumping on my bike as opposed to the other one. So I don't know. She might sell the other one. I don't think she wants to do strength on it. She has to activate it. So it's
sure makes sense.
It might just collect dust at this point. But anyway, yeah. What's new with you?
I was in New York this last weekend, so got to take a couple classes at PSNY. So good. I got to take a class with Maddie, who I'd never been able to take a class live with before in studio. So that was nice. And
it sounded like from the WhatsApp chat that he showered you with love in that class. Apparently, I didn't see the shout out. Or what did he say?
Yeah. A couple random things, but it was just a good Broadway class with him, and he was enjoying the playlist for that one. So
he was getting into it.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, before we get started, Amanda and I, we do our little spiel here. We like to remind everyone where they can find all the Pelo Buddy news and updates. Of course, we are on all social media platforms, as you know, Chris, because you run them all, which is Twitter X, Instagram, Facebook. We're also on TikTok now, YouTube. You can find us on all, podcast platforms. If you want to listen to us on the go, just search Pelo Buddy TV, hit subscribe and hit the notifications so you never miss an episode or an update. And also we love the 5-star reviews that we receive, and we really do appreciate those. We love to read those from time to time on the show. So keep those coming. And we also love the feedback on ways that we can improve the sound, the show, the formatting. And yes, as a reminder from the control room, most likely for Thanksgiving next week, we won't have an episode, but stay tuned. We might have, some updates here and there, especially with the turkey burn classes that are happening on Thanksgiving. So with that, let's get on with the show, Chris.
First, let's do a rundown of the latest Pelo news.
Well, the first story that we're going to talk about is if you've been on social media on Peloton's channels in the last week or two, you might have seen some comments popping up regarding the lululemon apparel and the sizing. Peloton has apparently heard that feedback because last week they put out a statement on the Peloton Apparel Instagram channel related specifically to size inclusivity. And I'm just going to read the statement that they put out real quick. It's a short one. It said, Peloton Apparel is committed to size inclusivity for our members across our Peloton branded apparel and upcoming collaborations. We are focused on introducing additional sizing and new Lululemon styles in December of this year, adding more in 2024 with an ongoing commitment to a full assortment of inclusive sizing later in the calendar year. Thank you for your feedback. We are always grateful when you take the time to share, and we hear you. And just for a little extra context, when the Lululemon drops came out, I think the biggest in a lot of the sizes went to a 12 or a 14. And there's obviously a much wider variety of Peloton members of different sizes. So people were feeling left out. And there's a lot of comments on social media of, you've made strides towards size inclusivity in the past in your own, drops. What about the Lululemon? And this was kind of their response to that.
Yeah. And I think, like we mentioned when Amanda and I were chatting about last week, a lot of it's on Lululemon side, because Lululemon, I mean, they're notorious for not being size inclusive. They've taken a lot of heat, especially from, a past CEO who's made, polarizing comments about the size of their customers, sort of alienating, that customer base. So, yeah, and I don't know what the largest size on the Peloton apparel stuff, but I guess they put out some bigger sizes.
I think I've heard at least 20. Okay. I think so, yeah. And I mean, one thing to keep in mind, even though the statement has put out, like they said that they will start adding additional sizes in December of this year with more in 2024. So I wouldn't expect the next drop to just all of a sudden have a ton more sizes. I think it's going to be each time we'll get a little bit more and more, just taking time as it goes. This is a 5-year partnership. So hopefully for the next 4 years, they'll be good to go with that, but it will take a minute to get that into the distribution channels.
That'll take a while. Yeah, it takes a little while to ramp up. But I mean, at least they're at least listening to the voice of the community and taking action.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like if the community had not spoken up about this, they wanted to put out a statement. So it definitely was a direct response to the feedback they had been getting on their social media channels, and I'm sure support tickets and calls to agents as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it was nice to see that they put out a statement actually pretty promptly compared to, sometimes takes a while.
Yeah.
So, shifting gears a little bit to the holidays, which are right upon us. There will be no live classes from the London studio as well as from the New York studio from December 23rd.
December
23rd. I'm reading my notes. From December 23rd through January 1st. That's kind of been the norm now for the last several years from both studios. Studio classes, though, did actually open up for booking this past Thursday for the December 21st and December 22nd days in the studio, which was actually a week earlier than the normal weekend. Normally that would open up for, I guess, December 14th through the 18th.
Yeah, I think that since that 6-week period was falling on Thanksgiving and it's a partial week, they just decided to go ahead and open it. I think people might have appreciated a heads up on the stories that they were going to do that, because if people were trying to go that weekend, they might not have even been looking this week. But I mean, from Peloton's perspective, it booked up and sold out, just as quick. So
same as it ever was.
Yeah, and they haven't said yet, but historically they'll typically do on-demand drops during that time of the top 50 countdown of the year. We can probably expect to see that this year. They haven't said for sure, but I'm sure as we get closer to that closure, we'll hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we'll definitely have plenty of pre-recorded drops and premieres in that time. So don't fret.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the holidays, Peloton, as we've spoken about before, they had their Black Friday sales going on. But in addition to that, they've just announced that they're doing a 0% financing promotion. Normally these days, you can get 0% financing on the loans of 12 months. But if you do the 24, 39, or 43-month loans, it's a 5% interest rate. From now through the end of the year, you can do any of those longer loans and get 0% interest-free financing. So if you're looking to buy during this holiday season, you can take advantage of the Black Friday sales and also, get 3 or so years to pay it off with zero financing. So they might be hoping that's a little extra boost to get the holiday sales up in addition to the sales. But even after Black Friday ends, that's going to run through December as well. I think through around January 7th. You can get that 0% financing on the longer loans as well.
That's nice, because it was before you could only select, a 12-month term for 0%, which obviously you have much fatter payments to make. And I remember when the Row first went on sale, there was no 0% at all, which was kind of irritating. So it's nice to see it's now on all the terms.
Now, the one interesting thing, since you brought up the Row, I don't know if this is going to apply to the Tread Plus and if there will be financing on the Tread Plus when that rolls back out. They've not said yet, so we'll have to keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks.
I would think with such a hefty price tag, there would be, because the people who are going to bite the bullet on that $6K price tag are going to want, that don't pay it in full, are going to want that 0%, spread out over 36 months, 36 payments.
You would think so, but we'll keep an eye on that.
All right. Well, the Peloton Entertainment is now officially out of beta, out of the testing period, and is available to all members currently. So with that, Peloton has just recently added the NBA League Pass to all Peloton members worldwide. So this means that everyone can now watch NBA games on a Peloton bike, tread, or row. So the Peloton Entertainment, now that it's fully out of beta, you can stream TV shows, movies, sports right from the hardware, from the bike, tread, or row. It's in the entertainment tab in the bottom of the tablet there of your touch
which
screen.
Is new.
Yeah. And the NBA League Pass, that was a new partnership they just announced this past week. So that's a paid option. It's like the NFL, direct TV season pass. You got to pay for, access to that, just like the other subscription services like Netflix or Max that you have access to. But with that, you can watch live NBA basketball games.
Yeah, and one interesting thing about that, Peloton Entertainment is officially out of beta now, and with that, it's no longer in more. It's on the footer of your screen now as its own tab. But even though entertainment is out of beta and an NBA is out of beta, technically all the other modules still have a beta tab on them. So the feature is out of beta, but HBO and Netflix, those are still in beta.
So those could pop, those could disappear and
correct,
come back, or new ones be added. Yeah, that's good to notice. Yeah, so right now that could vary what you might see. Currently, you could have Amazon Prime, Netflix, HBO Max, YouTube TV, Disney Plus, and more, or less. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you see those disappear, that's why. They're still probably ironing out some kinks.
And as part of that, I do know that a lot of people who may or may not have had Netflix before, some are getting it in beta, but it seems to be that in entertainment for Netflix, a lot of people are having an issue where after 8 or 10 minutes, the UI and your stats on the side disappear. The ride keeps going and the show keeps going, but their stats disappear. So I've been seeing a lot of reports of that recently. So there are definitely still some bugs being worked out with some of those modules.
Have you used it much? Because I really haven't. I can't say I've watched a show or a movie or anything really.
I actually watched a series or two when it first came out. I haven't used it recently simply because I've not been home much to actually use my hardware. But I do enjoy putting, if you're just wanting to get some minutes in, you can just throw that, especially if you're just doing a walk on the tread or something. It's good for just putting it on and, getting some miles in that you'd otherwise be sitting. Do that instead of sitting on the sofa. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I could definitely break up some monotony if you don't feel like doing a class and, listening to an instructor.
Or you're just trying to binge your way through a show and, get it done. That's a little extra motivation there.
True.
Cool. Well, as we mentioned in the intro, Peloton has a bunch of turkey burn classes coming up this Thanksgiving. There are going to be 4 live with members. There's a row with Matt, a run with Alex, a ride with Robin, and a yoga class with Dennis. And those are all live with members. There's several other classes taking place as well. Some are live, some are on demand and encore and premiere. We have a full list over on Pelo Buddy. You can go and reference the full list. One thing they did announce this week is that they are actually trying to set a Guinness World Record for the largest live run and the largest live cycling class. And obviously, you'll need to do those live on Thanksgiving Day at 10 a.m. for the ride and 9 a.m. for the run. They had previously set the Guinness World Record for the ride back in 2017. At the time, they set that world record with only 10,000 members, which, there's some random artist series classes and stuff now that break that record. I know in 2020, there were actually over 50,000 live on Robin's Ride. It's been a little less in the past 2 years, but the one caveat is I don't know if in 2020 Guinness was on hand to certify that over 50,000 as a world record. So I'm not positive of what the number they need to beat next week to set the world record. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that to kind of see where it is. One other random thing they're doing for motivation is last week they reached out to some members and said, hey, we want to send you a random gift for turkey burn.
Turkey.
And they were getting mailing addresses. And this week it started to show up and it's literally a turkey hat. So a lot of members may be wearing some turkey hats that Peloton sent out to them. We posted a picture on our social media if you want to see what it looks like. It's just one of those, big turkey hats. And Peloton sent that out to people.
I saw somebody, I don't know if you saw on Thursday, did you happen to see a member, he posted a picture of receiving the turkey hat, and it was this long rambling post, like complaining about the gift. And the comments that ensued were pretty funny because someone said, imagine thinking of, like posting something cool and this is it.
Peloton actually commented directly on that post, and I actually have it.
Oh, they took the high road though. They made like this nice, friendly comment.
Yeah, they said dressing up in fun outfits for turkey burn in local communities and for our annual turkey burn classes is a tradition. We're inspired by this tradition and sent out hats to get members excited for turkey burn. You don't have to use the hat, but we hope you still enjoy turkey burn.
Yeah, come on, talk about looking at a gift horse. It's just free swag. What are you going to complain about? Somebody will complain about, something regardless.
Of course, 7 million members, so you're never going to make everyone happy.
But I got to say, the comment section on that post did not disappoint. So, bravo.
Yeah, that was in the OPP, of course.
Yeah. A lot of interesting stuff on there. But a lot of redundancy too. So you gotta, take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, moving on to the Blink 182 Artist Series. All went down on Thursday night. Peloton announced it via Instagram this week. And they had a caption that hinted that Travis Barker, who is the drummer for Blink 182, might be appearing in one of Kendall's classes. And sure enough, he did. Shortly after the series was announced, Peloton confirmed this to Billboard, meaning that this was the first time a musician was performing live during a Peloton class. However, he was not playing drums during Kendall's 30-minute live ride with members. Instead, he was playing in this sort of pre-recorded segment of the Blink 182 shadow boxing class, which dropped as a premiere class on the 16th.
Just to clarify that real quick, it wasn't really a segment. Like Kendall had flown out to California and they recorded the class from Travis Barker's studio. So he's right behind Kendall the entire time playing drums live, and Kendall's 2 feet in front of him teaching the class. So it's a really interesting production setup there.
Yeah, and I know when Kendall announced the class, Travis Barker started drumming, and then Kendall was almost like translating what Travis Barker was saying in drums. Like this, he said that I'm Travis Barker of Blink 182, and he didn't actually talk, which is kind of odd. He was just drumming, beating the skins. But yeah, Kendall said the following about Travis playing during her class. She said, "It was an absolute thrill to teach alongside Travis. He is someone who I've grown up listening to, who also shares my passion for movement and music. Movement and music, so collaborating together was natural and effortless." And yeah, like I said, it all launched on November 16th, this past Thursday. We had 8 classes across 6 modalities, including 2 in German. There was also 3 premieres, but most of the classes did occur live on Thursday night. There was a 30-minute Blink 182 walk with Mila, a 20-minute 182 ride with Eric Yeager. Those both were in German. The Blink 182, which was a 10-minute shadow boxing class we mentioned with Kendall, a 30-minute Blink 182 full body strength with Andy, a 10-minute Blink 182 warm-up ride with Bradley Rose that premiered basically right after the conclusion of the live ride on Thursday night. There was also a 30-minute run with Camilla, a 30-minute ride with Kendall, and then a 20-minute Blink 182 row with Matt that happened live all at the same time. The run, ride, and row were all kind of going live basically right after back to back on Thursday night. And in addition to those classes, we also got some lane break levels that were released for both the bike and the tread. We got a 15-minute lane break Blink 182 run and a 15-minute lane break Blink 182 ride as well. And I'm sure there was some sort of artist series badge, maybe a generic one.
Yeah, just the generic one.
That came with those. Yeah.
Yeah, and even though Travis was not live in the cycling class, they did a very interesting production, which I don't think they've done before. As Kendall was teaching the class, Travis had actually pre-recorded some segments of him playing drums, and they cut to him. They cut the screen over.
Yeah, like a split screen.
Yeah, so it shows Travis in the background playing. So he's not in the studio, but they pre-recorded some segments, so they cut between Kendall and Travis. So it was kind of, it was like he was there, but not quite. I think in the studio they had some TVs, so the members in the studio could still see it. But from the home experience, it was like a full screen cut over. So you didn't see or hear Kendall for a bit. Then you cut back. So both the shadow boxing and the cycling class were, very different, unique productions from some of the other artist series they've done.
And I noticed a lot of the Never Knocked Out crew made it to the studio for the ride that night. So they were fully representing the Blink 182 group.
Yep. I think it was full. There was a lot of them in there. I'm not sure if it was 100% full takeover or not, but definitely a lot of Never Knocked Out crew in there.
Yeah, at least in the front row.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, well, this past weekend was Veterans Day, and Peloton had a couple special classes to celebrate and honor veterans. There was a walk with Selena. There was a ride with Christine. There was a yoga flow with Chelsea. There was a strength with Logan. And those were all labeled Veterans Day classes in the platform. And although it wasn't officially labeled, Alex had a Club Bangers ride on Saturday. And he honored veterans throughout the entire class. There were a bunch of military vets that did a takeover of that class in the studio. So even though that one's not officially labeled, that's a fifth Veterans Day class that took place this last weekend.
Nice. Have we had Veterans Day? You know the history. Have we had Veterans Day classes before?
Yeah, they typically will drop a couple. There's sometimes a handful that are labeled, but they're typically more unofficial. So I think they've done a handful in the past.
Yeah, because I did Alex's, it wasn't labeled a Veterans Day class, but Alex's last weekend, his Saturday afternoon, I think it was a hip hop ride for 30 minutes.
The Club Bangers.
Oh, it's Club Bangers. There's a lot of veterans in the studio that he recognized and shouted out during that one.
It was a takeover.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, moving on, we've got a new strength series with Callie Gullickson. Peloton announced this new series called Soundtrack Strength Club, and it debuted this past week with a live 20-minute class that was on Monday afternoon, November 13th. I actually did it live because I immediately saw Soundtrack, so I was very curious about what that was. There's also a 30-minute class on the upcoming schedule for this Monday, the 20th at 1 p.m. So it sounds like it'll be weekly on Monday afternoons and that time slot throughout the series run. But the social media announcement, it contained a little teaser video from Callie acting out scenes from various movies, including Legally Blonde, Princess Diaries, Mean Girls, and The Parent Trap. This past week, it was Princess Diaries themed. So it was all music from the movie soundtrack. I've never seen Princess Diaries, so I really know nothing about it. But it was still a fun class.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. And when I read the announcement that that's what it was, I misread it as Princess Bride. And I was wondering what songs they would be. Well, I was wondering what songs they'd play from that one. But, the Princess Diaries makes more sense. So,
yeah, Princess Bride, it would be like just the film score. There'd be no words,
right?
No actual songs. Yeah, that would be an interesting one. But
They
it was
did
fun,
say
so
nice, and they did say there's going to be 6 total of these. So I think there's 5 this Monday, and then the next 4 weeks afterwards for a total of 6 of these new ones.
yeah, we got Mean Girls, Parent Trap. Those should be good. You know, the Lindsay Lohan movies. I assume it's the remake Parent Trap, because the old one with Haley Mills would probably be a little bit of a snoozer, like, you know, the old film score on there.
Probably not in the music system either. The songs they need.
Yeah, that would be a deep cut. So Callie has taught unofficial classes like this in the past, such as her 30-minute upper body strength from June 17th this past year, which featured songs from the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, which I have seen that movie actually. So yeah, this is giving me movie buff vibes from Kendall, which we have not had a movie buff ride in well over a year. I don't know what's going on with that series, but it made me
because the
think about
last one was Halloween, right?
Halloween a year ago.
Yeah,
I
right,
think.
a year ago.
Yeah, where she was in the Freddy Krueger red and green sweater. Yeah,
looking up at the camera overhead.
It was a little cheesy. It was very campy, but it was fun. Yeah. So yeah, we're long overdue for that one. But I love the movie stuff. So anything movie related, soundtrack related, like Sam Yo's
80s
30-minute
Back to the
80s
Future,
ride, which was his video. What was it called? Video club, video rental,
movie
video
store
ride.
video movie store. Yeah,
video store ride. Super fun.
yeah. That's one of the picks of the week this week. So we'll talk about that a tiny bit more later in the show.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, changing topics completely, more long rides are on the way. For those of you who took Matt's 2-hour ride the other week, there were a lot of you on that live ride. There were over 6,000 people who took a live. As a result, Matt recently said in a class that we're going to get more of them. Specifically, he said they're going to aim for about 1 a quarter or 4 a year. He was talking about the class and thanking everyone who did it, and said that, you know, after the class, his boss actually texted him and said, wow, that was amazing. Can we do these once per month? And he had to say, whoa, let's slow down a little bit. You know, that was 2 hours of teaching. Maybe we can do this 1 a quarter. But he went on to say that the interest kind of blew away all the bosses at Peloton, and they weren't really expecting there to be that much interest in it. It sounded like this was kind of going to be a one-off thing, but because so many people took it and there was such good feedback, they're going to look at trying to do, you know, around 4 a year. So we get more 120-minute rides coming up.
I figured it would at least be annual for a ride that long. But, I mean, Jen Cotter, she listens to the people, so it gives us what we want.
Yeah, I mean, if you can get 6,000 people at 7 a.m. on the East Coast, like, yeah, that's a lot of interest, so...
Yeah, the proof is in the pudding.
Yep. Well, we got some other new classes that are happening. We have stretching specifically. It looks like Jess King has dropped her first stretch. Maybe she had one way back in the day, but in recent times, this is Jess's first stretch, and that's a 10-minute lower body stretch that dropped this week. So we might be seeing a little more stretching content from her. In addition, this isn't on the schedule yet, but during Ben's book tour this past week, Ross Rayburn announced that he would be doing some stretching classes as well. He's got a handful of mobility classes, which are technically stretching, but I think these will be the true typical stretches that we're used to. So that's 2 new stretching instructors, you know, giving us a little more extra content. Nice.
Well, Peloton's Auto-Incline feature now appears to be rolling out to folks who have the Tread Plus. This feature, it automatically adjusts the tread's incline based on the instructor's cues when you're doing a on-demand class, not live, of course. But this feature, it first rolled out in 2022, and it was limited at the time to the Peloton Tread, as the Tread Plus was still under the CPSC recall. So they weren't, you know, adding or promoting the Tread Plus in any way then. However, now that the Tread Plus is back in retail stores, will be available for purchase next month in a matter of weeks. That Auto-Incline feature is becoming available on all of the devices. It can be enabled or disabled. It's similar to the way the Bike Plus can automatically adjust your resistance to match what the instructor calls out. But now Peloton has a dedicated support page for the feature that also it contains additional details that now explicitly mention the Tread Plus being there. Now, it's not, I haven't checked my Tread Plus, but apparently it's not, not everyone might have it yet. So it might be slowly rolling out in a software update.
Yeah, they did go ahead. And so they initially updated that support page to say Tread Plus, and that was it. And then recently, in the last day or so, they added a new FAQ of, along the lines of, I have a Tread Plus, where's my Auto-Incline? And they added a caveat that they are kind of slowly rolling it out to make sure there are no bugs. So if you don't have it quite yet, stay patient, and it should be, added to you here in the new future. And for those who haven't used it before, you can toggle it when you start, when that little pop-up box where the start button is, there's an option to turn it on. But then if you don't do it then or want to turn it off mid-class, you can just click the lock icon to turn it on and off at any point and manually control your incline. So you're not kind of locked into that choice.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Now all we need is lane brake for the Tread Plus.
I feel like that's coming because on the Tread, one of the modules and games that you play is you can get in a lane and it will actually raise and lower the incline to do like a rolling hill for you automatically. So now that Auto-Incline is there for Tread Plus, they can add lane brake because it uses that feature. So, I think they want to get this out there and test it and out there, but you have to think that lane brake isn't far behind. So
it's coming. Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, speaking of new features, the Peloton app got a new update, which will be very welcome to many people. Specifically, the app is now able to autoplay the next class in your stack. So before, when you finished a class, it would pop up a screen and, there'd be a button to go to your next class. Then you'd have to click start and maybe one more option. But now in the app, when you finish a class, it goes to the summary page, and at the bottom of the screen is a little slider, and it says playing next class in your stack, and it's a countdown from 10 to 0. When it hits 0, the next class in your stack starts. There's a couple caveats to this. I've heard that if your screen is locked, it might not do that automatically, so your screen might have to be unlocked for it. And in addition, for whatever reason, on an outdoor audio class, it never went to the summary page without a button click. So it did require one click on an outdoor audio class. But if I was doing like 2 Tread classes, it worked seamlessly and went straight there. So it looks like there's a couple, bugs still to work out from that. But it's the foundation for what everyone wants, doing an outdoor run and not having to take your phone out every 20 minutes. Press your phone to go to the next class. And so it's coming. And I'm not sure if this was for Android as well, but it was definitely on iPhone.
Gotcha. It's kind of like a continue watching feature. It just automatically starts playing. The next class. Nice. Well, we have some new items from the Little Words project in the apparel store. So those are the little bracelets with instructor quotes on them. I saw there's an EXO. So there's a bunch on there. You might be more attuned to what the newest ones are, Chris, but I saw an EXO Cody one, a BYOE, which is Bring Your Own Energy, which I think is Callie's, one of her catchphrases, JFDI, which is obviously Jen Sherman, just effing do it. And Honor Your Hustle, Yes or Yes, Show Up to Show Out. Those ones, I'm not sure if they've been previously part of or if they're new as well.
The new ones I know I saw, there was 2 different ones with Maddie. They had 2 of his quotes.
Inhale the good, exhale the bull.
Yep. They had one for Camila Ramon. That was new.
Vibras.
Yep. So there were a handful of brand new ones included in this one that had never been put out before. So seems like they're trying to expand that a little bit with some other options.
Yeah. And then we have some brands. We love apparel. So Peloton's added a new section in the apparel website dedicated for their brand partnerships, which they've recently done, called Brands We Love. And right now the page currently features Hyperice, and Malin and Getz. They shared the news via their apparel Insta page recently, sent an email to members with more information. But they basically said, our commitment to bringing you the best of the best goes beyond game-changing apparel. That's why we've created Brands We Love. A new way to discover trusted finds for all the ways you move and live, starting with everyday recovery essentials. So Malin and Getz, if you've ever been to the studio, Peloton Studios, New York or London, you'll see those prominently, along the sinks and in the showers. They have the shampoo, the conditioner, the body wash. They've had those actually, for a while, going back to the 23rd Street Chelsea studio. But it's nice to see now if you want to get them, you don't have to steal the bottle in the studio. You can buy it. But yeah, Malin & Getz, their skincare, fragrance, candle company. And they have, soaps and shampoos. Hyper Ice, I've never heard of before. It's a recovery brand that a lot of Peloton instructors have sponsorships and partnerships with.
They own the Normatec brand. So the Normatec like recovery boots that you might have seen, like that's Hyper Ice. So they own that brand as well.
Legs.
And and they have, it's not the Theragun, but they have their own massage gun called the Hypervolt. So they have a massage gun as well and a couple things like that. So it's, those leg recovery type muscle. I believe they have 3 products, and it's the Normatec boots, the Hypervolt gun, and then I think it's called the Venom, which is like a wrap that can do heat and cold of different areas of your body. So yeah, some options for recovering after a hard workout.
Yeah, no, it has been confirmed. This suggests that members might be able to use their Peloton apparel gift cards and referral code rewards towards these items, the Hyper Ice and Malin and Getz products. But also a lot of them are already sold out. So a lot of them aren't even available currently.
Right. I mean, we'll see how quick they restock those. I imagine it's easier to keep the soaps in stock than it is for the boots and stuff, but we'll just have to keep an eye on it and kind of see how often they restock those. Speaking of apparel, there's also a Black Friday apparel sale that has started this week. They're doing up to 70% off of some of the apparel. So you can just head over to the apparel site, and I'm sure they'll be adding and changing what's on sale throughout the week. They've done this several years in the past. So just, they also have their hardware sale on bikes, treads, rows, and all their hardware products going as well, which they announced last week, but they're kind of promoting the apparel sale now as well.
Any Dream Blend?
I was just about to say, I did see a little bit of Dream Blend, so you might want to go check that out. And there might be a color or two you don't have yet.
And I've been clinging on to this one last referral code that I have just for this sale to really maximize my savings. So I might have to pull the trigger finally.
Yep. Well, changing topics, there is a new general manager of Canada. Peloton announced this last week that Mike Wilson would be taking over the top role of Canada. He recently was part of Waze and Google in the country. He said that I'm excited about the opportunity. I'm excited about the opportunity to increase awareness of the brand and continue to grow our membership base through a variety of new avenues. So yeah, they'll have a little more energy going into Canada. It was just last month or 2 months ago that the Row finally launched in Canada. That was before Mike got there, but they're starting to do a little more stuff in Canada. So we'll see. Maybe they'll have their first Canadian instructor. Maybe we'll see what they do to promote Canada and keep the business growing there.
Cool. Well, I'm the bearer of bad news this week with our class purge, which actually wasn't, when I was going over this purge wasn't as painful as some of the past ones have been. But Peloton performed their smallest class purge to date this past week as part of their weekly class library maintenance process. So on November 10th, they removed the majority of classes that were filmed between September 16th and 20th of 2020. So it was about 5 days worth of classes, which accounted to less than 150 classes overall removed in this purge. It continues to be a recent trend of class purges becoming smaller and smaller. Although, we haven't really gotten any indication that it would be slowing down or, could change week to week. But each of the 2 previous weeks, we saw around 9 days purged. So this is basically half of that. As with, the previous purges, Artist Series, some Power Zone rides, and other specialty series were spared. from this one. Some of the ones, including but not limited to, that were saved from this most recent purge included the J Balvin Artist Series, Cody's XOXO series, some Power Zone classes, and Oktoberfest, some classes or a class from that series. And unlike previous weeks, there were no non-themed, like random one-off classes that were saved.
Yeah, like last week, I think there was a 60-minute run and like a 45-minute meditation that, weren't part of the series. And I can't remember if there were just none this 5-day period or they just didn't save them. But, it seems like maybe we're getting to the point where it's, a new week recorded and the oldest week is gone. So maybe it's a 1 in, 1 out. We're getting near that point, or it's just a coincidence and next week is going to go back to 3 weeks being purged. It's kind of hard to tell at this point, but we'll keep an eye on it. Cool. Well, we want to wish a belated happy birthday to Aditi Shaw and Mila Wiedekine for their birthdays last week. We happened to miss that, so apologies for missing that last week, but happy birthday to Aditi and Mila last week.
It happens.
Yeah.
Happy belated. And with that, why don't we go right into instructors in the news?
Sounds good. Well, Ben Aldis is in the U.S. this week doing his U.S. book tour. His book officially dropped in paperback in the U.S. this week, so you're finally able to get it delivered and get your hands on a paperback copy if you want easily. Before, you could order it from his international distributor and, get it shipped, but now it's on Amazon and all the normal places that you order it. But he's doing a book tour of the U.S., which it's more of a Northeast book tour. I think the farthest west he's going is Chicago, and everything else is like Boston, New York, D.C. But that's been taking place this week. He's had some great guest co-hosts with him and moderators. Alex Toussaint has been there. Ross Rayburn was there for one. Cody Rigsby will be for one. Leanne Hainsby is going to be for one. So members have been going out this week and getting a chance to, hear about the book, get some questions and answers. I think a couple have had small meet and greets maybe, but that's been going on all this week.
Was Amanda going to the DC one?
Yes, I believe
she went. I can't remember if we mentioned last week.
I believe she went to DC, and I think she said, she had a great time. That was the one that Ben and Leanne were at. I think she said she had a chance to talk to a lot of. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, Mariana Fernandez was recently interviewed in an article for Pop Sugar titled "Peloton's Mariana Fernandez Paused NYC Marathon Training to Freeze Her Eggs and Still PR'd." It talked about her. She had been, working hard all year to, achieve this personal record in the marathon. She said she ran half marathons every month through the winter, was having, this great training regimen through the summer. Then everything kind of fell into place for her to pursue another personal goal, which was freezing her eggs. She said she had been in the talks of doing fertility treatment. She finally found a doctor that she really liked. And they had this window of time where her 38th birthday was coming up, and everything, she says, kind of aligned. She said, this is something I wanted to prioritize and do for myself. And August was dedicated to getting that done. But it took me out for about 3.5 weeks because the recovery, she said, was pretty painful. Egg freezing typically involves 2 weeks of hormone shots and then retrieval procedure done while under general anesthesia. If Amanda was here, she would, speak to this because, that's her husband's, her family's business.
Yep.
But the recovery experience can vary. And Mariana said her friend was hiking 2 days after her eggs were retrieved, while she herself was stuck in bed for 10. So she said during the process, many doctors recommended patients abstain from exercise completely or stick to, low intensity, low impact workouts to reduce any risk of interfering with the effectiveness of the procedure. So with the Chicago Marathon coming up last October, she ran that one just for fun. I think her goal was to, set the PR for that one. She just decided, I'll just take it easy. I'll go for the personal record for the New York Marathon, which she just ran this month. But she said, I wanted to be able to come back, feel strong after the race. She said the energy of the city carried me 26.2 miles. And as excited as I got, I wanted to have a thoughtful race. I thought, the time at the finish line after 7 marathons and sprinting to the finish, I reached that PR for the first time ever. I broke 4 hours and loved every minute of it. So congratulations to her. And she also says, the key to her success is giving your body grace, listening to it, having faith that everything is temporary, and all those lessons, plus remembering that you can always surprise yourself, something she often says in her Peloton classes.
Yeah, it's a great article. So congrats to Mariana, and we'll link the whole article in the show notes so you can go check it out and give it a read.
I know. I like how she just casually, just run the Chicago Marathon for fun, and then did, go balls out for the New York City.
I think she said that she was originally up until the week of planning to aim for the PR in Chicago. But then obviously she was in Chicago doing the Peloton on tour, which was a whirlwind, I'm sure. So just, by the time you do all that, you're up late, you're up early. She made the decision to pivot and do that for fun, which totally understandable. It's, she wasn't able to prepare like she probably would have normally wanted to ahead of that one.
Yeah. Waited to do it on our home turf in New York City with the core Peloton crew there cheering her on.
Yeah. Well, Olivia and Emma were recently featured in Hello Magazine. They, earlier this month, both attended the Humane Society to the Rescue Gala. And while they were there, they gave a quick interview about working out during the holidays, eating in moderation, and some other topics. Emma said that working out during the holidays is actually a great tool for your mental health. And if that also makes you feel better physically, then great. It's getting in that time just for you. It's going to help you feel better all the way around. Olivia said that if you want to take something away completely, you're going to crave it. So I just allow myself to have all the good food. I'm not the type of person who cuts anything out. Stuffing is my favorite food in the world. So, just talked a little bit about holidays and keeping the workouts in, and yeah.
Yeah, stuffing is my favorite side. I don't know about you.
Yeah, with some good gravy in there.
But no onions, not too many chives. Some people like to ruin it with onion. Ugh, puke. Chelsea Jackson Roberts, she was interviewed on the Radiant Rest podcast with Tracy Stanley, talking about embracing transitions, how her practice has supported her journey through the ebbs and flows of life as a new mother and householder and as a Peloton teacher. So check that one out if you haven't had a chance to listen to it.
Yeah, and Jess Sims has partnered up with the NFL again. Quaker Oats, or the brand Quaker, has a new NFL pre-grain tour, not pre-game, pre-grain, where they are taking a tailgating truck around to some NFL stadiums. I don't think Jess is going to be part of that tailgating truck going to the different stadiums. Instead, she's going to be doing some social promotions. They said that Quaker is teaming up with NFL legends Archie and Eli Manning, Peloton instructor and sports reporter Jess Sims, and renowned chef and Gen Youth Board member Carla Hall to help spread the word about the pre-grain tour and their commitment to help tackle hunger and food insecurity among children. Throughout the season, they'll be sharing their favorite Quaker recipes and talk about the importance of Quaker's partnership with the NFL and supporting Gen Youth. So I think we'll be seeing some random posts from Jess talking about Quaker and recipes and some stuff like that throughout the season.
Nice. What was she was in Vegas for a short amount of time before game day this past weekend, recording something. She was doing something in a Ford Mustang, kind of, it seemed like adjacent to the Formula One race that went on in Las Vegas this weekend, but I'm not sure what brand or company.
I missed some of the stories this weekend when I was at the studios. I wasn't able to keep up with all the Instagram stories this weekend.
We'll know soon enough. Anyhow, other news, Jess King, she was at 2 different events recently. She posted about that it was such an empowering experience joining Good Sports Inc. earlier this week alongside some incredible industry icons. She discuss ways women are changing the game, redefining sports. Google was the host of that, and she thanked them for creating a space for that conversation. And then she also, earlier this month, she posted about having the honor of speaking at the Warriors LGBTQ plus night event. How it was one of her favorite conversations to date. She said that I've been blessed to have such a beautiful queer experience, to have been accepted by my peers, my professional community, and to have a platform to share my experiences with all of you, to be able to raise 2 beautiful children with my wife, Sophia, and to be able to represent and advocate for the LGBTQ plus community with opportunities like that. She said she's incredibly grateful. She also says it was a reminder, the event was a reminder that Pride doesn't have to be 1 month or a day, but it's 24/7, and we're here, we're queer, we're not apologizing for who we are. And she also linked the full Q&A in her Instagram bio if you do want to watch it, so you can see the whole conversation.
Nice. Well, Katie Wong was a keynote speaker earlier this month at the Women Impact Tech's Accelerate conference. Her speech was called "Embracing Your Imposter Syndrome, Your Path to Unshakable Confidence." In her post talking about it, she said that, "I feel that if you are feeling imposter syndrome, that is a call for evolution, both within yourself and or the space you are in. Instead of letting the self-doubt hold you back, use defying it as your motivation. Prove it wrong. You never know where it might lead you."
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, should we dive into picks of the week?
Yes, we should.
All right. I will take the first 2 here that I see are assigned. And first up, Chelsea Jackson Roberts' 30-minute DMX yoga flow from November 9th. We got that from Armor Jar 3. She said, "Great class, love the music and the flow." And then Tunde's 30-minute DMX ride, also from November 9th. We got that from Teacher of Teachers. They said this class was explicit perfections.
Nice. Well, we had Bradley Rose's 30-minute rock ride from November 10th at 1:30 p.m. from Amajar 3. And she said, "Killer playlist." We also had Hannah Frankson, and we had her 30-minute EDM run from the 11th at 8:30 a.m. That was from Tracy C. She said, "Amazing playlist," and Hannah told stories about being resistant to change when they asked her to teach on the tread, that she would never have done 80s and never would have done disco, but now here we are, and sometimes you have to open up to it and great things will come.
Yes. And staying on the tread, Maddie Majakmo's 30-minute Broadway walk from November 11th. Got this from Spinny Mom and Robin Ra. They said, "Great playlist and pleasant surprise to see a Broadway star live in studio as well for this one." The Broadway star being Patty Murin, who originated Anna in Frozen on Broadway. Oh.
And there was a nice little moment too, like Maddie knew she was going to be there, obviously, but one of the songs that he played was one of the songs from Frozen. And he made a joke that, like, unless you're a Broadway star, don't sing. But if you are, please sing along. And you could tell she was just enjoying having that being part of the moment. And yeah, I was in the studio. That was the one I was in the studio for. And it was fun to kind of see their interactions. And
was she on one of the more prominent camera treads?
She was on the one right next to the mirror. So,
Gotcha.
There's some moments of her getting featured in the class and stuff.
Cool. And Benny's 30-minute 80s ride, which was in English from November 11th. We got this from Sunny ND Saddle and Armature 3. They said the music and energy were both great in this class, and it's in English.
And we have Alex Toussaint in his 30-minute Clubbanger rides from the 11th at 2 p.m. This was from King Carve 11, Karen Zimskaberry, and Spin for Spritz. They said that his Clubbangers classes are always great, and this one had military vets in the studio and was an unofficial Veterans Day ride.
Yeah, it was great. He, at one point in that ride, somebody was up out of the saddle when they shouldn't be, and he looked at her in the front row and was like, "Sit down, mama, sit down." He's like, I run this shit.
Sometimes the energy just takes you,
I know. Yeah. Sometimes though, you can't do your own thing. You gotta. Sometimes the instructors will call you out for that.
That's when you want to be in the back corner when they can't really see you.
Yes.
Back on the third row, right behind that wall. That's the spot to be for that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Cool. Well, next up, we have Sam Yo and his 30-minute 80s ride from the 12th at 5 a.m. Eastern. This was from Rockham 1979. They said Sam's video story series is back, and this one is Back to the Future. Plus, there was a Yes Yo studio takeover. And just for some context, I think this is the third or fourth Sam has done. It's not an official series, but it's his video store series where he plays soundtracks from movies and just, talks about going through a Blockbuster, for those of you who remember what those are, and just kind of movie themed series as well.
Yeah, I don't know I'm curious what the big video store chain back in the day in the UK was. I don't think
No
it was
idea.
Blockbuster, but yeah, if you're UK members, let us know. Okay, going to the Tread. Bex Gentry's 30-minute Diwali run from November 12th. We got this from Mandy Rose. She said, great message, just a good special class. And then Jen Sherman's 30-minute epic sing-along ride, which is actually her 10th anniversary of being a Peloton instructor.
Her 10th anniversary.
10th.
Well, I mean, she's been there longer than that, right? I mean, she's been there 11 or so years, but I think someone was saying this is like the 10th anniversary of teaching regularly on Sundays or something. So I think she's actually been there a little bit longer, but this was, regardless, that's an amazing milestone if it's 10 or 11,
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, what were they basing that on? But anyway, she had a lot of folks submit this one, and it was a lot of her family. Her husband was in there front row. There were some of her closest friends, and then a lot of JSS Tribe OGs as well. But we got this one from AS Casper, Lime and My Coconut, Spin Bug, Jen Batman, KM8284, and Best Ever Yet. They said Jen's 10th anniversary class, Allie. Oh, yeah, and instructors were in there, too. I almost forgot. Allie, Jess, Cody, Maddie, and Alex were all live in the studio with her. At one point, she got off the bike to rap to the song Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang, which was kind of an homage back in 2015. I forget what the length of time, but it was like, I have the clip on YouTube, actually. It was like Jen's favorite music class or something. I got to look it up. She got off the bike during that class and like rapped the whole song, and nobody in the studio then knew the lyrics. So she was just giving everyone a hard time rapping along. But yeah, she did it again, which it has been a while.
She still knows all the words.
Yeah, she knows it. Yeah, it's a super fun class. And, she had talked about how she didn't actually kind of want to do it. I guess she wasn't really in the mood, in a celebratory mood with everything going on in the world. But, Randy Roth, her producer, who was there in the studio, was pushing her, and she finally agreed. So I think she was happy that she did.
Yeah, and there was a moment in the studio where some of the instructors passed the microphone around and were, saying how much she meant to her and, how they were all following in her footsteps. So that was a nice moment as well.
Yeah, Cody was first up on the mic, and I think Alex said something. Yeah. But it was great to see Maddie and Jess right there next to each other, and they were all...
Yeah, like we've seen Jess on the bike before, but it's a pretty rare sighting to see Maddie on a bike. So that was fun to see as well.
Yeah, and surprising that Jess was right there the next day with, her travel schedule, with game day.
Yeah, well, and Maddie left that class, and less than 30 minutes later was teaching his a class as well. So he had a pretty quick turnaround from getting out of there. I mean, luckily it's next door now, but yeah. Well, next up we have Hannah Frankson. We have Rebecca Kennedy and her 20-minute hip hop glutes and leg strength class. That's from the 12th at 3:30 p.m. This came from the Miller Family 20 and Just Dance Lisa. They said it's a great combo of cardio and strength, and it was also a great playlist. We also have Hannah Frankson in our 30-minute Power Zone Endurance ride from the 13th at 2 a.m. Eastern, and this was from Eric Rides PPC and Tracy C. They said Hannah's first Power Zone ride, definitely worth giving a try, even if you've never done a Power Zone before. And I've heard a lot of great feedback about that class, and people who's saying they haven't really felt like trying Power Zone, but because of Hannah, they've been trying it, and they really enjoyed not only her music, but her coaching during that class.
Well, going to the mat, Callie Gullickson's 20-minute Soundtrack Strength Club, which we talked about earlier in the show, from November 13th. Elise, Lauren M, and Amrajar 3 gave us this one. They said this new series is so much fun. I sang and danced while still getting a great workout. And then Camilla Marone's 30-minute endurance run from November 14th. Got this from Celestine, Dippin.22, Pegleg Meg 34, and the Danny G. They said this is her Susia run. Cheeky music and steady programming. It's a fun-filled class with great vibes, the perfect distractions, and a themed ratchet music playlist. This one's a gem. Highly recommend for a boost of energy and mood. And then rounding off the picks of the week, Kira Michelle's 10-minute meditation for healing from November 15th. We got that from Kira's group, Kira's Koalas. They said just a great meditation. Everyone I've talked to loved this one.
Nice.
Well, that about does it. We've said it all.
Yeah, I guess, got through it quick this week. We'll have a week off most likely for the holidays. Who knows if it'll be a slow news week or not. It's hard to tell these days. It seems like there hasn't been a slow news week in a while, but maybe, with Turkey Burn trying to set the record. It's not like the studio is closed next week, so we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But
there's always something going on, so you'll hear it. You'll hear it here first, most likely.
Yep, we'll still be on social media the next week, even though we're off on the show. So we'll keep you covered then until we can get back here and talk about it again in 2 weeks. So, well, from here in Atlanta, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
And for me here in Michigan, thank you for tuning in, watching from all over. And as always, we will see you on the leaderboard. Bye for now.
Thank you for watching Pelo Buddy TV, your source for everything Peloton, by the community, for the community. Work out with us using the Pelo Buddy TV leaderboard tag and find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Pelo Buddy. Don't forget that we have a podcast available so that you can listen to us while on the move. Just search for Pelo Buddy TV on any major platform and hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode.